Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Sarah and I make videos about the ADHD experience. I also make a podcast version of these same videos with just the audio component, and I have that linked down below, as well as my ADHD video playlist. So both of those things can be found in the description of this video. And with that out of the way, let's get into the topic for today. So today I wanted to talk about something that someone had asked a question about in a previous video of mine, and that was the topic of brain dumping, dumping your brain. And it made me realize that it's likely that not everybody knows what that phrase means. So today I'm going to clarify what it means, how to do it, and how to use it. Okay, so first of all, I want to touch on the purpose of a brain dump. And you can think of this as kind of like a clear everything out approach. So it makes me think of when I have done closet makeovers in my house. We have like 4 closets in the house, and at different stages of living here, I have taken time to attack one at a time. And basically, I will take everything out, including any shelving or existing infrastructure in the closet, as my first step before I can even conceive of what I want the closet to look like. And the reason that I do that is because it's better and easier, at least for me, to wrap my head around the task of making over the closet, making it something that is useful for us, making it something that looks nicer, making it something that's more functional, if I have cleared everything out of it. And in so doing, I'm also noting the things that I'm clearing out and recognizing some patterns and some categories of things and some needs that I have for the functionality of the closet. And all these things are important. All of these things are analogous to the brain dump in my mind. So the brain dump is very similar, where you might find yourself with a very cluttered brain that's stopping you from seeing clearly the task that is before you and seeing clearly the path through that task and seeing clearly the steps you might need to take or what the end result might look like. And so sometimes it's so difficult to wade through all of that data in your mind, and all of that stimulus and all of that junk is what it sometimes feels like. And so just dumping everything out, clearing it out, emptying the closet so you have a clean slate on which to build your thoughts about the task is a really helpful thing to do. I hope that makes sense. Basically, it's just to clear everything out so that you can choose what words and thoughts and images and ideas you want to work with, rather than drowning in the din of all of the thoughts that are swimming around in your head at any given moment. Okay, so that is the purpose of a brain dump, and I want to talk about how to do it, because if you've been doing this a long time, it's probably pretty second nature to you. But if you've never used this technique, it's just good to have it clarified and just lay out some steps. So what I usually do, and I can kind of recognize when I need to do it now, whereas it took me a while to get to that point. Sometimes you're kind of floundering and you're overwhelmed, and you just need to practice this a few times before you recognize, oh, the way I feel now, I'm going to feel better if I do a brain dump. So how I approach a brain dump is very, very intentionally low stakes in the way that I orient myself around this task. So let me clarify what that means. If you feel a lot of pressure to accomplish something, it's going to add to the clutter and it's going to make it more difficult to accomplish that thing. So when I recognize that I need to do a brain dump, I take all of the pressure off, all of the expectation off of this task. I remind myself that the usefulness of it is in the doing of it, because it does help to clear out my brain. So basically, I tell myself to just write down everything I need to write down, everything that's in my head. You might do this in a few different ways. You might have like a few columns under which you would put things that are related to different categories. So you might have a column for things related to the task I'm trying to wrap my head around doing, and a column for unrelated things, things that are just jamming up the system and crowding your brain and making it hard to think. Or you might just do one big pile of thoughts that you're writing down. It doesn't have to be anything formal or structured. You just want to write things down and get them out of your head through your hand and your pencil. I know it sounds kind of weird, but I promise it works. So usually, depending on how overwhelmed you are, how big the task that you're trying to accomplish might be, or how just kind of frazzled you might be at the moment, your brain dump might look different. It might need to happen in kind of stages. And a lot of times for me, if I just have a super disorganized brain about something and I just dump all of my thoughts on a piece of paper, because then you take things that are like invisible, because thoughts are invisible and they're intangible, and you make them visible and tangible, and you make them fit on a piece of paper that you can see the edges of, right? And so it kind of helps to quantify and to describe the size and the volume of this task or of the collection of thoughts that are happening in your mind. The really cool thing that I find about brain dumping is that when you get to this stage where you've written all of your thoughts that you need to get out of your head on the paper, or at least a good amount of them, there's again no pressure to get all the thoughts out. It's just a helpful activity. It's an exercise. So once you've started to do that and you see this collection of thoughts forming on the paper, I don't know what it is, but so many times I start to feel really confident, really good, and have so much more mental clarity. But what happens is that I start to see the next step. So this is why this step is so important, because it's like a non-step. It's like a preparatory step. But what it does is it helps you to see the next step, and it helps you to wrap your head around whatever it is, that whatever the task is before you. So I sometimes find that I need to do the brain dump, and then I need to do like a more curated list or a sequence of steps, or, write down another, like a procedure or something like that around completing a task. So I'll do my brain dump, and then I'll start to see thoughts coming together on the paper, and I'll start to be able to think clearly now that the closet in my head is cleaned out and I can see the corners of it and I can see what belongs in there. And I start to really be able to work with those thoughts rather than being consumed and overwhelmed and feel like I'm drowning in them. And so then I might make a more organized list, like if the task before me that I'm overwhelmed by is just my day, and I brain dump everything I'm thinking and everything I need to do and everything I'm feeling, then I start to see more clearly, okay, what does my day actually look like? Now this pressure's off, now this mental clutter's gone, and I can actually start to plan my day out. And so then I will make a to-do list for the day, and I'll say, okay, what are the things that I really have to get done today? And I write those down, and it's very clear, it's right in front of me, it's tangible, it's visible. And then I think, okay, well, what are some things that it would be nice if I got done, but they're not mission critical? And then I write those down at the bottom of the list. So you can see how this very messy activity is actually a method of organizing. And I'm sure that only makes sense to people with ADHD, because somehow ADHD just causes so many counterintuitive situations and creates so many nonsensical needs in our brain. But if you get it, you get it. And I promise that if that's you, this can be very, very helpful. And the last thing I wanted to touch on, which I kind of talked a little bit about in the previous segment, is what to do with your brain dump. So a lot of times, like I said, the brain dump will sort of lead your brain in the right direction and make clear what the next steps are, and that's awesome. But the piece of paper that you wrote stuff down on may very well have served its purpose at that point, and so you can just get rid of it. You can keep it. Some people find that keeping them is helpful because they may revisit it and then be able to jump back on that path that they had set themselves on with the brain dump. Or you might have actually dumped out a bunch of really good, cool ideas. You know how if you're like in the shower and like your best ideas are coming to you in the shower, or your best ideas are coming to you in the middle of the night? Sometimes your best ideas are sparked in very unexpected moments by unexpected things. And so sometimes your brain dump might contain a lot of really valuable things, and so you might keep it. But really, the important thing is to remember that the stakes are low, the pressure is off, and really the point of it is just the exercise itself. And that is it for my video on brain dumping, and I hope it was helpful. Let me know down in the comments if you have any questions or anything to add, because I love hearing insight and thoughts from you guys. It is so magical to understand your experience and to hear how yours mirrors mine and how it's different. I just love it. So leave your thoughts below. Don't forget to check out the podcast version of these videos linked down below, as well as my playlist, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.